I want to back things up just a little bit, like maybe a little pre-Avalara, just to kind of frame this up, because I think it's really hard to imagine just how hard this had to have been. Like this has to be unbelievably hard. Were you familiar with when you meet businesses or new customers who maybe they're not using your system yet? Maybe they're calculating this maybe in old ways, or they just haven't built a system for it, or they haven't invested in financial tools to do this. Maybe they've been writing paper orders for quite a while. And I know people hear that like, there's no way businesses are like that. It's like, yes, they are. Like there are plenty of businesses still running on ledgers, like paper ledgers where people are handwriting their transactions. Give us an idea of how much time your average like how much time do you guys save right out the gate doing this?
I don't know the average amount of time we save, but it is massive, because imagine if you have to go manually, somebody in the tax department has to go to a website and they have to collect all the taxation for the state of South Carolina, and they have to manually put that into their point of sale system. That's going to take many, many hours during the week, many, many days probably to do. And the trick is you have to keep the tax content up to date. So the content may change at different times during the year. So does the person in the tax office need to go back and check the state website every single day? It's too manual. Their content is going to become stale. It's going to become out of date. And that's one of the things Avalara does. We can keep it up to date, but if you have to do it manually, it's a very, very manual process, and it can take a long time to do.
So for yourself, one of the things that I'm hearing is this new evolution of technology where the tax code is one of those things you already hit on it. It's going to, it's basically guaranteed to change every year. Every state is going to change something. Every country is going to change something. Have you gone a year where there was no changes?
In some locations, yes, but you're right. The content will change probably once a year, and sometimes multiple times during the year. Like during the pandemic, when the pandemic started, there were tax rate changes immediately in multiple locations in the United States and all around the world. Medical supplies, cleaning products, tax rates changed so that people were able to go buy these products in bulk. When kids are going back to school in the preceding weeks before school starts, certain items that will be used in the school in certain tax jurisdictions, the tax rate might change for a period of time for items that are specific to schools. Lots and lots of times during the year, tax rates will change, and we have to make sure we see those changes real time and bring them into our system immediately.
So when you think about, I guess, what does it take to do that? Because it sounds, like I'm going to show my lack of knowledge and you're going to correct this, but it sounds like you have some type of like robot crawlers, very similar to Google, checking out all these tax codes. When you notice a change, obviously that has to be implemented somehow. There's got to be some kind of a Q&A check, because the one thing I know the IRS does not like is mistakes. If they check it and there's a mistake, you will get dinged for it and you'll owe the balance. And so it's got to be accurate. It's got to be, so there's got to be change. There's got to be some type of implementation time. There's got to be some type of quality check time. Give us an idea. What does it take? And how have you made this process, I guess, even faster? Because, all these little micro changes are happening. Like any given single change might not be a big deal. Like maybe it's not a big deal, but we just talked about it. Like Avalara is handling transactions domestically, within the state, within the counties of the state, internationally, across different service lines, product lines. So there's bound to be many, many changes concurrently at any given time. And it's got to all be done accurately, because I guess when that person clicks report taxes, it's got to be right.
That's exactly right. So there are tax rates, tax rules, boundaries may get redrawn by cities, by different jurisdictions. So we have to keep track of all of the tax boundaries, we call them, or regions where tax is calculated. And the tax forms that have to be submitted to the jurisdictions, they may change as well. We have to collect all of that information, as we said, in a real-time way. And we do it using technology. The company is nearly 20 years old. And over the years, our process has started off very, very manual. We had to manually go to thousands of websites and collect this information in a manual way. And at one point, we had hundreds of people doing this following a very manual but methodical process. And then we thought, maybe we can solve this problem with automation and technology. And that's what we use today. So we have little bots that sit out on tens of thousands of websites watching for changes. And when we see a change, we'll scrape the content and bring the content back into Avalara. And the content may be published in different ways. It may be in a machine-readable table. It may be in a piece of legislation, so in a Word document, in a PDF document. it's published in many, many different ways. Sometimes it's not even published on a website. Sometimes it might be published in the media. It might be published through a notice that's sent to a particular distribution list. Sometimes we have to call a tax office when we hear there was a change and get the change verbally over the telephone. But in most cases, the information is published on a website. So we're checking, in the case of the websites, we're checking the websites every day with these bots. When we see a change, we scrape the content, we bring it back into Avalara. And instead of humans looking at the content first, we have some really cool AI ML tools that are analyzing the content, and they're looking to see, is this a real change? Is the change something that's tax related, or is it a non-tax related change? And if it is a tax related change, we extract what the tool believes is the change in content. Maybe the rate changed, or maybe some rule about the tax changed, and we highlight that. And then a human will look at the change, and the human will verify what the tool has identified. And the human, if the tool is correct, the human will mark the tool as, yes, correct, that's a real tax change. And if not, the human will say the tool is wrong. And then the tool learns from the human. So as the human is double checking the tool is continuing to learn and continuing to get better. So we actually have a very, very small number of humans that need to do this work, because the tools are so highly automated and so efficient and so accurate that the tools are doing a really, really good job. And we only need a small number of people every day to manually check what the tools are bringing in. And then when we bring the content in and we've identified real valid tax changes, then what we will do is we will take those changes and we publish them in a way that's understandable by our tax calculation engine. So we have to take written words in some cases and numbers and then turn that into a logic that machines will understand. And we use a combination of humans, another set of humans, and machines to go do that. And what we're doing is we're continuing to automate this process and make it more efficient. Our goal is to be able to go from content that's published by humans in a piece of legislation on a website. We can take that, we can extract the content, we can understand what it means, and we can put it into our tax calculation engine without making a mistake in a fully automated way, real time. That's the path. And we're there, nearly there. A lot of the steps highly automated, and we still use humans to double check and make sure everything is okay. Because as you said, if we make a mistake with the content, it's not a good thing.
Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel for more great IT thought leadership. And thanks to our partners at Salesforce Platform for making this show possible. Go to salesforce.com/newsletter to discover timely insights and useful tips tailored to your role.